my beloved child. There is a movement stirring in the spiritual realm, an invisible yet powerful realignment that is arranging places for those who are willing to respond. Do not let yourself be left outside the embrace of this work because of needless worry, hesitation, or an old fear. I know you have asked more than once, why do I always stand on the sidelines? Why do opportunities pass by while I must wait? The feelings of being left behind, the lonely nights of struggle, the efforts that seem to accomplish nothing, these prosmoter are hard to swallow. Yet you must understand, doors do not always close because you lack worth. Often I am removing old walls and repairing foundations so that when a door opens, it will lead you into a space worthy of the blessing. Not every failure is an ending. Many times it is the refining process required before I place something greater into your hands. In this moment, learn to distinguish passive waiting from readiness-filled waiting. Passive waiting breeds weariness. It is folding your hands over your chest and complaining. Waiting with readiness is preparing your spirit and practicing small, faithful steps. Look back honestly. What anxieties have you buffed into the surface of your mind? Those anxieties blur your vision and keep you from recognizing my fingerprints. Clean your inner room, release your doubts, and grant me the right to renew you from within. When you do, you will no longer be someone abandoned on the sidelines. You will become a forerunner in the plan I am arranging. Do not forget, God moves in seasons. There is a season to sow and a season to reap. There is often a silence before a season of sudden increase. Sometimes I place you in trials to train your faith. Sometimes I allow suffering so that your heart may be made strong. But every season has a purpose. I do not let your suffering be in vain. Everything you endure is being transformed by me into the foundation for future blessing. Hold fast to the conviction that today's broken pieces will become the bricks of the palace yet to be built. If you feel small among opportunities that seem meant for others, remember that heaven does not operate by the world's criteria. The things the world applauds do not necessarily reflect the character of the grace I bestow. My gifts often arrive quietly, a timely encounter, a word spoken at the right hour, a door opening in an unexpected way. Do not measure your hardships against another's achievements. Rather, compare your journey to the call that stirs within you and to my promise. I want you to do 3 practical things right now. First, awaken your heart to listen. Turn down the noise around you, social media comparisons, frantic plans, and allow a space of silence for me. In that silence I speak. In that quiet, you will see the way. Second, do not merely wait, prepare. Preparation does not mean you must have everything in place. It means keeping a soft heart, cultivating a life of prayer, and working faithfully in small things. Those entrusted with great responsibility are often the ones faithful in the small things first. Third, take one small act of faith the moment you hear the call, even if it is only a short prayer, a decision to forgive, or a step outside your comfort zone. A small act of faith today can be the seed of a vast harvest tomorrow. Let me comfort you with this word: the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. Psalm 3:4-1-8. When you feel disappointment and hope is wearing thin, I draw near most of all. Your weakness is the place where I touch you to restore. Do not fear that I have forgotten you. I have not. I see every tear, I know every sigh, and I am preparing something richer than you can presently imagine. You must also be brave enough to let go of old patterns. Perhaps you are clinging to a shattered plan, a stained belief, or a hope that never truly belonged to you. Letting go is a spiritual art. It is not abandoning, but offering back to the one who knows how to reclaim and place things rightly. When you release, I will lead you by the hand, not to let you fall, but to set you on the rock I provide. View surrender as an act of faith, handing over control, so I can accomplish far beyond your imagining. I see what you cannot see, the words written for your life, that lie dormant in the dark, the blessings veiled by spiritual fog. Even those things the enemy has stolen, as one steals a treasure from a sleeping hand. Do not be alarmed. This is not accusation, but revelation. The time of hiding is over. A season has ripened. A stream of light is cutting through every covering to reveal the path I have long prepared for you. Hear this clearly: you no longer must wait in vain. A key is being placed in the palm of your hand. and by it the closed gates will begin to open. Allow yourself to stop, breathe, and receive this word as a gift. Your life is not accidental nor abandoned amid the world's upheavals. A wiser plan is at work, a plan bound up with the holy lineage to which you belong. You are part of a spiritual family, a lineage of blessing, where what was lost will be restored, and the sacred inheritance of your forebears waits to be passed to its heirs. The return of that gift is not merely a restitution. It is the dawn of a new season, a revival in which both your soul and your life are rebuilt. What has been lost is not proof of worthlessness. Sometimes it forms part of the refining journey. I allow the darkness to fall so that you might learn to seek the light from within, so that you might learn to hold the key of faith instead of reacting in bitter rejection. Now I open the way not only to restore, but to enlarge. What you thought was gone will return in richer form, with greater depth, and more in keeping with my eternal purpose. The one who receives will not simply recover the old. They will step into a new abundance that surpasses all earthly imagination. You may ask, how will I recognize this gift? How can I know it is really meant for me and not merely an unfounded dream? First, listen to the inner call, a whisper that is not loud but resolute, a prompting that makes the old place feel uncomfortable. Second, watch for the signs I place around you, sudden opportunities that appear, unexpected people who come to help, small doors that open to lead you to a larger threshold. Third, prepare your heart to receive. When a gift comes, it may not resemble the pattern you imagined. It might be timely counsel, a small chance to practice, or a transforming trial. Recognition is an act of the heart joined with wisdom. Do not let old doubts blur your vision. Hesitations and what-ifs can freeze you like a person who sees a cliff and fears stepping forward. Instead, let conviction rise. I do not make empty promises. I give covenants of weight. As the scriptures say, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 2:9-11. Let this word be the foundation of your faith, not as an empty slogan, but as a sacred reality that will guide each step you take. In the process of receiving your inheritance, you will need to remove what clogs your hands: shame, envy, fear of loss, and the ties of the past. Letting go is not surrender. It is a courageous act, an offering that allows me to complete the work. When you hand the fragments of your past over to me, I do not merely mend them. I turn them into the foundation for a new work, a work of which I am the architect. Letting go is opening your life so that I can place into it gifts you could not create for yourself. Be ready for integration. You are not merely to receive a personal favor, but are invited to step into a spiritual community, a family of the chosen who are trained and entrusted with responsibility. This is where promises flow through generations, where predecessors have guarded and kept gifts until the appointed time. Belonging matters not for private consolation alone, but so that together you may realize a greater plan where every grace is placed in its proper place within the living network of the community. You will also face challenges as you enter this season, for the resurrection of what has been hidden always brings with it a battle to protect, a battle to purify, and a battle to establish a new order. Do not be afraid. Those battles are not meant to destroy you, but to strip away what is false and to test whether you are worthy to keep the treasures entrusted to you. Be courageous and stand firm in faith. Keep up prayer and nurture a hunger for righteousness. The victors are not necessarily those who have never failed, but those who rise from failure and move forward in faithfulness. Now I give you 3 practical pieces of counsel to enter this inheritance with wisdom and humility. First, set aside daily time to listen, not only to speak. In listening I lead you. In the quiet you will read the map of love I have drawn. Second, practice gratitude. Thankfulness opens more storehouses of blessing. When you give thanks, the door to receiving widens. Third, act with faith, one step at a time. There is no need for hasty leaps, but consistent small acts will lead to a great harvest season. My dear one, do not let the voice of others drown out your inner calling. Do not compare your portion with another's. You have your own map, your own timing, and a gift given uniquely to you. Step out of the shadow of hopeless waiting and into the light of the promise. Let your heart become a worthy vessel for the legacy I bestow, not because of virtues you have manufactured, but because of the grace I desire to pour through you. I stand here watching, and I invite you to receive. This is not a casual invitation. It is an overture to the renewal about to begin in your life. Answer with a wholehearted yes, by letting go of what obstructs you and by taking a small step of faith today. When you do, you will see what was once hidden will be revealed, what was once stolen will be restored, and you will stand in the light of an inheritance that is both heavenly and earthly. My beloved, hear me, this voice is not idle talk, but an invitation back to your true nature. There are days when you feel like a passing shadow in others' lives, present yet invisible prayers seeming to vanish into emptiness, a heart forgotten amid the noise of the world. Those feelings are heavy, and I see every sorrow within you. I understand the loneliness you carry, but I need you to know one fundamental truth: you are not forgotten. On the contrary, you are chosen and preserved within an intentional plan, a destiny inscribed on the heavenly map before you set foot on earth. You are cherished in a way that differs from worldly honors, not because the world elevates you, but because my throne has placed a word upon your life. Some abound in wealth, some in renown, yet the blessing laid upon you cannot be measured by those criteria. It is a promise tied to a sacred lineage, an inheritance guarded within my kingdom, to be given at the most fitting times and in the most fitting ways. Therefore, if you feel overshadowed by the lights of the world, remember, heavenly radiance does not depend on the echoes of earthly applause. From the very first moment you were set apart. Before your first breath, before your first step, there was a calling that touched your essence. Scripture reminds us that He knew and called you, even in the womb. This is not merely consolation, but a confirmation that every person bears a divine purpose. Do not let the world's voices silence that call. Do not allow comparison to dull the value God has engraved upon you. You are unique in that design, not a copy, not a duplicate, needing no rivalry to be recognized. Beloved child, you may have asked yourself, why do my words seem to go unheard? Why do I sometimes receive only silence? Understand that such silence is not rejection. At times, it is preparation. Before a seed can sprout, the soil must be still and dark. Before a voice grows strong, silence must protect its first stirrings. God moves according to His timing. There is a season for silence, a season for speech, a season to sow, and a season to reap. You are being kept in the season God deems appropriate, so that when the appointed time comes, the promise will unfold with a power and abundance you could not produce by your own hand. I encourage you to look back courageously at the sufferings you have endured, not to be crushed by them, but to see them as part of the journey. Every scar is a mark of perseverance. Every night of weeping is a season that has disciplined the soul. Rather than viewing these things as proof of failure, regard them as steps that lift you to higher ground. When you release feelings of worthlessness, you open yourself to the honor God intends for you, an honor not forged by your own effort but bestowed by the Creator. To live worthy of your chosen identity, there are several practices you must embrace. First, keep inner stillness so you can hear God's voice. In silence, He speaks. In noise, His whisper is easily drowned. Set aside a portion of each day for listening, not hurried petitions, but listening to discern the next step to take. Second, cultivate faithfulness in small things. God entrusts great responsibilities to hearts that are faithful with the ordinary. Perseverance in everyday duties proves readiness to receive greater things. Third, maintain an attitude of gratitude even when circumstances are imperfect. Gratitude opens the door for more grace to flow in. Do not let doubt take up residence within you. Doubt is the wind that flickers a candle. Faith is the flame that keeps the heart alight. When the inner accusations arise, am I not good enough, or has He forgotten? Bring them before the throne and exchange them for truth. You are known, you are chosen, you are sanctified for purpose. Embrace the assurance God speaks in His word. He knows the plans He has for you, a future filled with hope. Jeremiah 29:11. You will not journey alone. Being chosen does not mean isolation. Being called is meant for connection. There is a spiritual family, brothers and sisters in faith, companions who have suffered, waited, and prayed alongside you, They will stand with you in the season of receiving. These bonds are not only encouragement but also the channels through which promises are fulfilled by many hands and faithful hearts. As you enter that community, you will discover that your portion is not merely a solitary gift, but part of a greater design for generations to come. Prepare yourself for transformation. Your life will be renewed, yet renewal is often accompanied by trials. God does not place a crown upon a life without testing the gold. Those who receive blessing must stand through trials to be refined. Do not step back when faced with hardship. It is part of the journey that proves you worthy of responsibility. Keep a resolute heart, hold fast in prayer, and remain in love with truth, for it is in that faithfulness that abundance will take up residence. Beloved child, perhaps you never inherited material wealth from your earthly parents. Perhaps you look around and see others born into plenty, while you began with empty hands struggling to build each step. But remember, earthly riches are not the measure of your worth. God has appointed you to receive an inheritance that surpasses all worldly standards, a spiritual treasure richer than gold and more enduring than any human possession. What is granted to you is an inheritance from His own hand, stored in heavenly vaults and opened at the appointed time. The pain you have endured was not accidental. The wounds of abandonment, the betrayals by those you trusted, the times you staggered under financial lack, and even the doors that slammed shut in your face, all of these are part of a training process. Do not view them as punishment. Regard them instead as instruments fashioned to build you into one capable of bearing great blessing. There are burdens not everyone can carry, and to place such a responsibility into your hands, God has prepared you through this journey that may have seemed unfair. Remember that God's wealth is not measured by a bank balance, nor determined by fame or rank. It is eternal wisdom, the peace that holds through the storm, the joy that persists regardless of circumstance, and the capacity to stand firm when everything around you trembles. You are chosen to inherit such an estate, so that your life may testify to others even amid lack. The grace of God is more than sufficient. As Scripture says, "And my God will supply every need of yours according to His riches in glory in Christ Jesus." Philippians 4:19. This is a sure promise, not an illusion. How many times have you asked, "Why must I endure so much sorrow?" It is precisely within that suffering that your heart is expanded to receive more. Your tears do not fall to the ground in vain. They water the seed of faith, so that it may one day grow into a tree of life. Because you have known rejection, you can fully comprehend the value of God's acceptance. Because you have experienced scarcity, you can truly appreciate the abundance He gives. And because you have stumbled, you have been softened enough to bow before redemption. See your journey as a furnace. Fire does not only consume, it refines, removing dross, so pure gold may appear. So it is with your life. God allows you to pass through the fire so that the most precious part of you might be revealed. Others may see loss when they look at you, but I see in you a treasure prepared to give light. Trials do not destroy you, they shape you. Human rejection does not render you meaningless. It proves you have been chosen to receive something not of this world but from heaven. My dear one, step into this new season with the conviction that everything you have gone through has purpose. No drop of sweat is wasted, no cry is meaningless. All of it is the foundation for what is coming. You will see that the places where you were weakest will become testimonies to the strength God gives. Old wounds will be transformed into fresh glory. Seasons of lack will be recounted as stories of miraculous provision. Times of abandonment will be turned into testimonies of God's unfailing love. Be courageous enough to accept this truth. You are not destined to live in spiritual poverty or emotional destitution. You have been entrusted with a treasure that belongs to eternity. If you keep the faith, if you continue to walk in faithfulness, what you receive will not only change you, but will spread to touch others. You will become an instrument of hope for the desperate, a living proof that God's hand can lift a person from the deepest pit to the mountaintop. Therefore, do not let painful memories become chains that bind you. Regard them as the footholds that propel you forward. See rejection as an arrangement that leads you to the door that truly belongs to you. Let every lack become an opportunity to witness the miracle of divine provision. You are entering a season in which spiritual inheritance will be revealed. Prepare your heart to receive, for this is not a small portion, but a wholly enduring inheritance that far surpasses human calculation. You are the one who has been called trained through trials to carry what not everyone can bear. And when you hold tightly to that promise, all of heaven will bear witness, and the whole world will see that God remains faithful and that He has chosen you for a great purpose. My beloved, hear this clearly. There are streams of blessing that were once recorded, sealed in the spiritual realm for specific lineages, treasures that are not merely earthly possessions, but carry the weight of sacred function. If you are reading these words now, it is very likely that you are part of that stream. I have shown my servants that some carry within their very bloodline a vast spiritual inheritance. Yet the tragedy is this: much of that inheritance has been hidden, silently stolen, or diverted by powers that do not want you to recover your true identity. This is not myth, it is the spiritual reality, unseen by ordinary eyes but discernible by the awakened soul. Imagine this: there exists a heavenly record where your name was inscribed before you were born, alongside rights offices and gifts destined for your life. These are not random desires. They are part of a divine testament passed through generations and tied to a greater mission. Yet there are forces, dark territories, distorted ideas, raging schemes of the world that have sought to obscure, to steal, or to corrupt those promises until you scarcely recognize your original calling. At times it has been reshaped into shame, a gnawing sense of lack, or a life haunted by the question, is this truly my portion? I do not speak these words to frighten you, but to awaken you. The spiritual wealth I bestow is unlike earthly possessions. It is a network of opportunity, of open pathways, of the ability to discern the moment of divine vision and resources to fulfill the mission. It may manifest as financial provision, but it reaches far beyond timely connections, heavenly doors, swinging open accurate prophetic words, and the endurance to shoulder great responsibility. When these portions are concealed, the loss is not merely material, it is the loss of identity, of voice, of testimony. So what must you do? First, recognize the truth. Knowing that there is an inheritance set aside for you is the first step toward restoration. Do not let the shame of the past erase the fact that there is a heavenly course marked out for you. Look again to your spiritual lineage. Was there someone who bore the flame of faith, who testified to God's power? Those traces are clues. I call you to open the eyes of your spirit and seek out those clues in family history, in callings left unfulfilled, in the prayers your forefathers once lifted to heaven. Second, have the courage to face the battlefield. The forces that concealed your inheritance do not relinquish it easily. They employ doubt, fear, sinful patterns, and spiritual entanglements to keep you in a lesser place. You must rise in powerful prayer, in confessing the truth, in renouncing the habits that blur your spiritual vision. Sometimes this requires genuine repentance, sometimes the act of forgiveness to sever ties with what has bound you. Understand this: forgiveness does not weaken God's justice. It frees you from the weight that keeps you from receiving. Third, cultivate the character to carry the gift. Spiritual riches are not handed to empty hearts or unprepared souls. God refines character, perseverance, humility, faithfulness, righteousness. The trials you have endured, lack, betrayal, calamity, all have a purpose. They prepare you for responsibility. See every scar as armor, every hardship as a lesson, shaping you into a steward of treasure. Not everyone has the strength to bear great grace. Therefore, purification is essential. Fourth, reaffirm your ownership with a declaration. A spoken declaration is a powerful instrument in the spiritual life. Speak aloud a statement that aligns with, "My word." Acknowledge your identity, affirm the promise, and pronounce restoration. This is not superstition, it is cooperating with God's program. At the same time, seek fellowship with those who have seen similarly, prophets, pastors, and brothers and sisters in the faith who can join you in prayer and empower what you declare. Fifth, steward the gifts with a heart of service. When wealth is restored, do not allow greed or pride to creep in. Every favor I give is meant to accomplish my purpose on earth. Learn the lesson of stewardship. Give, share, and use grace to build community. As Scripture says, the righteous leave an inheritance for their children. Proverbs 1:3-2. Let what is yours become a blessing to many, not a burden that ensnares you. You must also be ready for the restoration that comes with testing. Each time a great blessing is brought forth, the enemy will strive to oppose it through doubt, temptation, and pressure. That is when you must be steadfast in prayer, consistent in holy living, and wise in your decisions. Do not expect the road of restoration to be easy. Remember that trials are not meant to destroy, but to prove who is worthy to hold the blessing. Finally, trust that God is faithful to complete what He has begun. The fact that portions of inheritance have been hidden is not proof that He has forgotten. Sometimes He conceals things to test fidelity and to wait for the perfect moment when glory will fully appear. Be patient in prayerful action, willing to change and eager to follow guidance. As you obey and prepare, I will unlock what was locked, tear away every covering, and return to you more than what was lost. You are not alone in this journey. There is a spiritual family prayers that span generations and a throne in heaven watching over that heritage. Answer the call, awaken, be purified, receive, and steward with humility. As you do, you will see hidden treasuries revealed, the lineage of the spiritual family flow through your life and through you. Many will be touched by the immeasurable grace of God. Beloved, pause for a moment and receive this as a decisive appointment. I do not speak merely to soothe. I declare a pressing truth. What I reveal most deeply often comes to fullness only in hearts that persist, enduring to the end. There are seasons in your life when trials lengthen and hope seems worn thin. The enemy seeks to draw you off the course God has set for you. He uses weariness, the weight of disappointment, mockery, and subtle temptations to distract your steps. Yet it is in the perseverance of faithfulness, when you refuse to let go, that the seed of grace germinates and rises up most powerfully. I know you have been exhausted many times. No one understands the depth of your fatigue as I do. There have been times when you thought you had no strength left to pray, times when your mind sank into doubt, and moments when you wanted to let everything go. I have seen your sleepless nights, your sighs, and your whispered cries. It is precisely in those moments, though you may not realize it, that I am preparing a moment of transition, a door that only those who patiently wait will enter. Do not let weariness rob you of vision in the place where you feel weakest. I am about to pour in a new source of strength, so you may take up the mission. Remember that the spiritual journey is not always smooth. It contains rough stretches meant to forge endurance within you. Every obstacle, every rejection, every brokenness can be used by God as a sharpening instrument to widen your heart, to strengthen your hands, to sharpen your eyes, so you may receive something greater. The great revelation I have reserved for you is not given to the careless. It requires discipline, faithfulness in small things, and a heart that does not easily yield to pressure. Now I declare, you have come to the place you needed to reach, not because you are perfect, but because you have persevered. Those weary steps will now become a firm foundation. The times you fell will serve as the springboard from which you rise higher. The message I have put in your heart, the call, the key, the budding shoot, is ready to be revealed. Today may not look like yesterday, and the future you are about to receive will be incomparable to the past. The mystery is being unraveled. Veils will be lifted. That which was hidden will gradually come to light. I want you to understand clearly. When I open an entire chain, not merely a small fragment. It may be a vast resource, a high-level opportunity, a comprehensive restoration. There is a portion of an inheritance understood as provision, financial openings, prearranged resources that has been reserved for you from before. It is not random luck, but a divine ordination. It is part of my plan to be released at the appointed time. If you have felt left behind watching others elevated, know that your season has also ripened, and now is the time to be activated. But this activation is not a careless miracle that falls without responsibility. When I bestow a gift, I also call you to assume stewardship with humility and wisdom. Prepare your inner life, purge your fears, cut off lazy habits, rebuild values in your living, because great grace often requires a large heart to contain it. I desire you to be a faithful manager, not a squanderer, a dispenser, not a hoarder. When you prepare in this way, the resources I activate will not only sustain you, but will flow through you to touch many others. In this process, you need two essentials: patience armed with action, and faith proven by obedience. Patience is not passive waiting. It is continuing to do what is right, continuing to pray, continuing to trust, continuing to prepare, even when results are not yet visible. True faith shows itself when you move forward despite fear, when you take small but steady steps ahead. Keep praying without ceasing, but let prayer lead you into concrete action. Respond with a decision, with a lifestyle change, with a courageous step out of your comfort zone. I also remind you of a steadfast promise: God does not forget the words He has spoken. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 2:9-11. Let that word be the foundation of your hope, not as an empty slogan, but as a guiding compass that leads you through the night into morning. When I say there is a portion for you, it is true. And when I say the time has come, believe that heaven itself is intervening. Do not let doubt or presumptuous comparison steal this moment. The enemy desires to see you give up. The world would confine you to a narrow way of thinking, but I invite you to step beyond every limit. Remind yourself inwardly, I will persevere to the end. I will not let weariness decide my steps. Use that confession to steady your feet. Use words of thanksgiving to open the door of favor, and use action to receive the portion that has been prepared. Beloved, open your heart to perceive a spiritual reality that the eyes cannot see. In the invisible realm, a great movement concerning assets, resources, and material wealth is taking place. Treasures, once hidden streams of finance that seemed beyond reach, opportunities that appeared reserved for others, all are being redistributed. This is not coincidence, nor the product of chance. This is a program arranged by the Creator Himself. Legal files will be turned in your favor. Investments will find you in ways you cannot explain. Long locked doors will suddenly open to restore the inheritance that rightfully belongs to you. However, you must engrave one vitally important truth on your heart if you are not spiritually awake. All of this may pass through your life like water without leaving a trace. This redistribution is not a lottery nor a gift for the careless. It is a portion of heritage promised to those who walk in watchfulness, in faith, and in obedience. It is linked to your identity, the identity of being a child of God. And if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God, and co-heirs with Christ. Romans 8:1-7. This word is not metaphorical, but the foundation for you to affirm that you have a share in that holy inheritance. Ask your heart, have you truly been awake? To be awake does not mean living in tension or anxiety, but keeping a keen spirit that recognizes the signals from heaven. It begins with humility and prayer, listening for the word in quietness, and walking with eyes of faith. When your spirit is opened, you will see things others do not notice. You will discern which opportunities come from the Lord and which are disguised snares. Wakefulness helps you claim your portion and not let it slip from your hand. You must also understand that the wealth being transferred now is not merely money or possessions. It is opportunity, a way being made, timely connections, and the wisdom to steward resources righteously. If you look only at material value, you will easily miss what matters most. God desires to train you to be a faithful manager, so that when blessings arrive, you will not squander them on worthless things, but use them to glorify His name and to help others. That is why, before the treasure is revealed, the Lord disciplines your heart through seasons of scarcity, so that you learn appreciation, gratitude, and wisdom in every decision. Remember the pains you have endured: rejection, lack, betrayal, and bitter failures. They did not come to destroy you, but to lay the foundation that enables you to bear the inheritance. Without those seasons, you would not have the depth to grasp the true value of what He is about to give. This is why this grace is not for everyone, but for those who have been prepared. You have passed through fire to be refined, and that very refining makes you capable of shouldering riches both of heaven and earth. Therefore, when you hear this word, do not treat it as a vague promise. This is an announcement from heaven, the key that tells you you have not been forgotten. But a key opens only when you take hold of it and turn it. Taking hold means receiving in faith. Turning it means stepping out in action. Pause each day to ask the Lord, What do you want me to do to prepare for the portion of inheritance that belongs to me? As you obey in small things, you will find great doors opening naturally. Do not let the distractions of life make you sleepwalk. Many people have missed their life's opportunity because they were caught up in busyness, comparison, or doubt. Guard your spirit as a gatekeeper, for the enemy constantly seeks ways to keep you from seeing what is coming. But once you decide to keep your heart alert, all dark powers will be unable to stop you. You will see the hand of the Lord move across every file, across every contract, across every meeting, until finally everything tilts in your favor. Let your heart be sustained by faith in the faithfulness of God toward His promises. He does not write anything with His finger and then abandon it. Everything He has recorded for you in the book of life will arrive in its appointed time, provided you hold fast and do not let go. Remember, this inheritance is not a reward for your personal striving, but your right as His child. When you believe and walk in that truth, you will become living testimony that God does not fail and that the wealth He grants has a purpose far beyond you, so that blessings flow to others through your life. My beloved, now stand up, take a deep breath, and believe that the heavens are leaning toward you. Be awake, be steadfast, and open your hands to receive. For a season of transfer is taking place, and your portion has been ordained from before. Do not let your life drift in uncertainty. Step forward to claim what rightfully belongs to you. This is not illusion, nor is it a game of chance. This is a sacred heritage, an eternal promise engraved by the very hand of God for you today and forever. May the Lord's word continually remind you to live each day in His faith and love. Please press follow and turn on notifications so you do not miss the sacred and meaningful messages the Lord wishes to convey. May God bless you. Amen.